Now we're going to talk for a moment about the use of the run as command and how it relates to security and accounts. We've gone through how to set up accounts, and we talked a little bit about having an administrator account and a non-admin account and a limited account, and only having the rights on a system to do what you really need to do. If you limit the rights and the access, you have a much safer computer out of the internet. So one of the ways that even on large computer systems large networks that they do is they use something called the run as command. And in the management of large networks, you still might log in as a lesser account if you're not using all of your admin functions on the network. That way it's more difficult for a hacker to try and take advantage of your login that you currently have by trying to sneak something by and installing it from perhaps some sort of malware from a website you happen to be on or something, because you have elevated privileges and rights. So what we're going to take a look at here is we're signed in as the account we created earlier. That's a limited account. It is not a computer administrative account. So just to show you that, we're going to go into Settings Control Panel, and I'm going to try to call up the Windows Firewall. And you're going to notice that all these options are grayed out. I can't click on anything, can't really make any changes because this is not an admin level account. But if I go here and I select this now and say Settings Control Panel, and I select the Windows account, I'm going to right click that and select Run As. Now I actually come up with an option here where I can sign in as an administrator or another account if I had a second account, and I can take that and type in the password for it and select it, and now all of a sudden I've loaded up the firewall, and here I can select it now and make changes. I can turn it on, turn it off, create other exceptions, and I have full privileges to do so here. And I can say now I want to allow the remote desktop so somebody can come in and actually take over my system, maybe if I needed some help or something. So this is for a function that's useful for somebody who may be you give them some privileges to do some admin rights, but they don't need that 90% of the time. Maybe they just need to use that occasionally. So they would have a second account that would be an administrator account. Generally, you also don't want to use the administrator account per se if you're on a large network, because you want to be able to trace back to every single user account and what they did. So best practice in that regard for if you're on a network would be to set up, to not use the administrator account that I just used, but actually have a secondary account that actually lists a second name for yourself with an administrator privilege, so the person who manages that network would be able to trace that back. Any action, you can find out who did something by tracing it back to the individual activity for a specific user account. But so best practice is to have one administrator account and one standard account, even if you're an administrator. And you've just seen how with Windows XP you can actually use the run as command to run a command or a program at an elevated level, and use that for somebody who's not doesn't need full administrative function all the time, or doesn't need that function as a standard login.